Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Pull Up Tray podcast, the podcast that is co-hosted by myself, Samson Folk, and I'm of course partnered up with Trevon Heath, the Tray that pulls up, fresh off a nice little nap, ready, ready to talk Raptors. For the people who don't know, there is a cup game shortly after you're listening to this. The Raptors have a chance to punch their ticket to Vegas, and then, if not, there's a big break in between games regardless. So we're just going with basically a game preview episode today. Trey, how you feeling?
Feeling good. I feel like naps help show your age, and like it's so peaceful to just like doze off. You pretend like no one else is seeing you, but then like everyone notices that you're falling asleep. So I just like have been leaning into it of late.
It's that's a power move. I
Mhm.
think honestly, man, if we're looking at falling asleep around people and not caring, it shows a very high level of security, like within oneself, because sleeping is quite vulnerable.
Yeah, it is. I trust our dear friends with my life, even at a movie theater.
Hell yeah. Uh, do you trust the Raptors with your life to beat the New York Knicks and punch their ticket to Vegas? Give me a very short answer on this one.
I saw that Glorilla was with Brandon Ingram, so I'm going to say yes.
This well, can you tell people your this is a behind the scenes theory of Trey's. Can you tell us what it's is out from behind?
All season, if you look at it, all of BI's best games are with Glorilla in attendance. He Gorilla's in attendance. They beat the Pacers. They look like the best team in the NBA. And then he goes right in front of my dear friend and says, Pascal Siakam was at my mercy. I was bought in from the minute he said that. She hasn't been in the last few
You
games. Struggles.
you would have laughed really hard if you could have seen me. Brandon was like 3 feet away from me. He said, he's so quiet. It was at my mercy. And he said it with a little bit of a smile too. And I literally was sat there and I go, I was like, damn. I did the Jalen Williams, the anyway. Okay, so Glorilla is hanging out with Brandon Ingram. You give him a good
Yeah.
shot. Let's actually dive into what's happening. So
Mhm.
for listeners, before we dive in, you can make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hype, all that good stuff. Now, to set the scene, the Knicks are the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. They are the number 2 offense in the NBA, the number 6 half court offense, and they're a little bit above the middle of the pack in
Yeah.
defense. They're not top 10. They're a good team. They just got back OG Anunoby. The injuries that will play a part in this is obviously RJ Barrett is not available. Jamal Shed is questionable. Deuce McBride and Landry Shamet are out. Deuce is a big one. Cat
Yep.
is questionable with his left calf tightness, which he missed last game for. The Knicks are a very strong team. They just got back OG Anunoby. Josh Hart has started to play and figure more into the rotation. What do you think about, because like if you're building out a Raptors team, what do
Yeah.
they want to attack with? It's through the wings. Now OG Anunoby is
Mhm.
sitting there. And how do you feel about this matchup? You can have longer thoughts than Glorilla is around now.
I still feel good about that. I think just due to like Scottie's size, like he's going to draw OG Ananobi. Just there he overmatches literally everyone else on their team. And with BI, Mikal Bridges is someone that won't overpower him with strength, and is a guy that he's had success with historically. His best playoff series is being guarded by Mikal Bridges is a perfect example. So I I don't find it to be like OG obviously being in the lineup changes things, but I do think you can still play through the same way. Like guys like CMB should be able to impact the game physically. He impacted the game last time they played simply because they're for the same reason. They're a little small on the wing outside of OG. So I expect the same thing to happen.
The big thing is that, the Raptors, their status quo on offense right now is bad.
Yeah.
You and I, whether the Raptors win or lose, will have an opportunity to dive into this really deep on Thursday's episode.
Mhm.
If you want to read about it, though, I have a big, like, 2,500 word piece on how the Raptors offense went from, one of the best in the NBA, basically where the Knicks are now, to they've been the worst in the NBA since RJ's injury. It's a huge deep dive in written form, although I know a lot of you guys listening and watching, you're not that big into reading. So Trey and I will be bringing that to you for Thursday's episode. The the Raptors have been struggling offensively mightily coming into this. OG, I think I'll just say the first big quirk or defensive schematic that the Knicks are going to do, I suspect, will be, as you said, Bridges on Ingram, OG on Scottie. I think OG is going to play off of Scottie a ton. And I
Yeah,
think
100%.
a dominant theme that you and I have talked about in this season so far is that Scottie has done, I think, a tremendous job of shooting over defenses that are happy to sit in the paint or a little bit above it on him and ask him to make shots. He's been great as a jump shooter this year on lower volume than a lot of the great jump shooters. How big a tension point do you think that is? Just the fact that Scottie will have to take jumpers probably and make jumpers. How do you feel about that coming into this one?
I think just because of his overall process, I'm confident in going into the game. Like he isn't taking threes that he shouldn't be taking, and I think the major difference between this year and last year, he eats up space if defenses allow him to give him space. I feel like last year a lot of it was him like settling for some of these jumpers, but if he hits a couple and teams have to then defend it, that's when the rest of the offense opens up. So he's been hitting them, so I think he's earned the right to take those shots this season.
Yeah. And the Raptors are going to need it because if the
Yeah.
ball falls into Scottie's hands and he's like, I don't feel so comfortable taking this shot, the offense, which has been, league worst for 8 games now, is it could even like it
Yeah.
can't fall further in the rankings, but as far as points per possession, it could certainly go worse. The Raptors are going to have to get offense from a bunch of different places. That's been a struggle.
Mhm.
Brandon comes into this game, a great game scoring against the Celtics just last game, but on the whole, struggling. For people who don't
Yeah.
know, 30 turnovers to 25 assists in his last 8 games. That's not good. That's actually
It's
really,
not at
really
all.
bad.
Not at
A
all.
strong creator, I think, will almost at minimum in the NBA today be around the 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Even if you have qualms about how the Raptors cut around Brandon Ingram, their motion, a 30 turnover to 25 assist stretch is indicative of nothing more than Ingram not doing a good enough job of identifying what defenses are trying to do to him. And if you
Mhm.
slow it down and you kind of do like low light scouting, you can see he's missing reads.
Yeah.
Now, the tough thing is that if he makes the read, the Raptors not been so good at hitting it, shooting
Mhm.
it. I want to switch it to the defensive side before we really dive into, I guess, the rest of the offensive stuff. These Knicks are per synergy, they're top 10 in the following categories as far as
Yep.
points per possession: spot ups, transition, pick and roll ball handler scoring, isolation, handoffs. That's a lot. They're the
Yep.
number 2 offense in the NBA. Now, the Raptors per synergy have been passable guarding all of these actions, or most of them. They've allowed a lot of looks to roll men. They
Mhm.
have struggled a lot guarding post ups, which the Knicks use a lot of post ups, but we'll see what happens if Cap plays. The roll man thing, the Knicks basically have no volume scoring with roll men. And it's because they don't run a lot of typical like big man roller type of offense through
Yeah.
Cat or using them.
Mhm.
So we have a Knicks team that is very much imagine the Sacramento Kings that got really popular with Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. You take that coach, Mike Brown, who liked working out of delay and dribble handoff sequences, and you move it over to the New York Knicks, who don't have Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, but they have something better. They have a lot of feisty guards who can operate out of handoffs, and that's not to mention one Mr. Jalen Brunson, who works out of like a million handoffs,
Yeah.
but is perfectly comfortable settling into isolation and getting buckets. Cat is up in the air whether he plays, but there's one guy, a star's star in New York, Jalen Brunson. What is the term, Coach Carter, when he's like, "You're not gonna stop Ty
So
Crane. Just hold on to
so
that monster, man."
please.
How do you feel about the Brunson matchup?
Yeah, it's tough. It didn't go well last time they played. It led to tons of spot ups. Bruce Deuce McBride was hitting shots like he was Steph Curry, just because kind of the story of this season is like the from the guard spot they've had a tough time stopping the ball. Like Jacoby has been like their best in terms of adding. So what I'm probably interested in seeing, and kind of what sparked the comeback. I can't even call it a comeback. what what got our interest back in the Celtics game is that they they started playing larger in size. They had CMB guarding opposing wings, Scottie and CMB sharing the floor in some of those lineups as well, and throwing more size on the actual ball handler and having Jacoby come over as the guy who doubles, which he's fantastic. He's probably one of the best on the team in doing so. Brunson historically has always had more trouble on wings than guards, so I wonder if that's something that they go into if the game is close as like a late game wrinkle, because there is nobody on the team strong enough to keep with him as the point of attack defender.
Yeah, it's a very interesting dichotomy because, there was like Andrew Nemhard. If we can use like a team that has a
Yeah.
great defensive stopper, Nemhard has had really strong stretches against Brunson, but he's also had stretches where he's playing contained defense, and Brunson is so good making shots in like a tight little closeted space that it doesn't
Hmm.
matter. Ben Shepherd was one of the best defenders in the NBA at not allowing bull buys, at staying in front of his man. He just got scored on because it was Brunson is like, you know what? If
Yeah.
a man is on me, that doesn't matter to me that much.
Yeah.
And Jarris Walker, who's quick-footed and long, had stints of great success against Brunson. I don't know how the Raptors are going to handle this matchup. Jamal Shed, you would think would get a lot of time. We'll see if he plays. Emmanuel
Yeah.
Quickley is getting over his illness. He's definitely going to be playing.
Hmm.
Regardless, this is looking to me like Jacoby, like Ochai, and Grady, who probably Brunson is going to try and hunt, I suspect,
Yeah.
may not factor into this upcoming game as much as his games in the past. In fact, he got dropped out of the rotation last game. Even Jacoby didn't play. And
Hmm.
CMB didn't play either, really. It was like just they they all combined for 0 points over 25 minutes. This game, this cup game, is coming against a Raptors team that has lost now 3 in a row, that has the worst offense in the NBA over the last 8 games, and just decided to, in a run against the Celtics, be like, Elijah Martin, you're playing your first NBA minutes. AJ Lawson, you're finally going to play this season. We just want other guys.
Yeah.
The Raptors are in flux. How do you feel about like the state of the team, if not just guarding Brunson overall?
Yeah.
Like the way they're playing, it could be Jordan Clarkson, man.
Like I don't think anyone can expect the season to be like all hunky dory, like, oh, we're never gonna lose again. Like,
That would be
which
them's
it
not the
it
breaks.
it was great. I was walking into these pods like, oh man, I'm running out of positive things to say, but it's tough. I think just one, like Ingram's like tough shot making kind of fell to earth, which is to be expected, and defensively, them not being able to stop the ball, especially against teams that can really shoot. Like the Celtics hit tons of threes simply for that reason.
20 of them.
20 of them.
20.
Simply because Jalen Brown was able to get downhill nearly every possession until Mr. Boyles was on him in the second half of the game. Um, I I haven't wavered. Like 47 wins, I think is still gonna happen. They're 15 and 10. I think it's just abundantly clear for everybody that RJ Barrett is very important to the makeup of this roster. And it allows everyone to, again, hierarchy, to be in the position where they were. Guys like Jamal Shed have been asked to do significantly more than what they've asked to, and it therefore has made things tougher. So I haven't changed. It's just clear that this is a team that needs to stay healthy, especially within their top three.
So something happened. RJ was healthy and they were hot. And then RJ was gone and they were slumping. And
Yeah.
these things are feeding into one another, of course. Like
Mhm.
RJ helped set things up. When I was asking for quotes on my piece, and the players cannot help but mention RJ's name. Like,
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram is like, yeah, really missing that guy. Jamal Shed is like, yeah, really missing that guy. Darko's like, really missing that guy. Wait, I'm a coach. We have the guys here. We have to figure out a new way. Like it
Mhm.
is what it is. I To the point about they're gonna overload on Brunson. Jacoby, probably will do the best job. Ochai will probably get a decent amount of time. AJ Lawson might. But I think the big question is, as you mentioned, Deuce McBride is piecing them up, dude. He's doing terrible things to the Raptors
Yeah.
defense. And I mean, Deuce McBride is just like he's borderline starter quality in the NBA. He's a
Hmm.
great backup guard. The
Yep.
Knicks on the whole, though, if they don't have McBride, if they don't have Shamit, and Jordan Clarkson is very hit or miss,
Yeah.
like
Very streaky.
very. Then you're looking at, Huckporty, Yabusele, Tyler Kolek, Diawara. Do you know who Tosan Evbuamwan is? I
I have
don't.
no idea.
Listen, he's played 3 games.
Okay.
He's yet to score. I don't know where the ball might end up going, but I suspect this game could end up being that the Raptors are really overloading. They like to overload, and it
Yep.
comes down to, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. And I mean, Mikal had a great game last time,
He
but the
did.
Raptors defensively, if they can get the ball out, there's not a ton of certainty in the Knicks secondary scoring if Cat is out. Now, if Cat is there, then they get to go to a whole bunch of different types of actions. And the Raptors, it might be really tough to help off, to like not be able to help off. Because when we look at the Knicks, they're such a good spot up team and they're
Yep.
such a good pick and roll ball handler scoring team. Why? And like, why don't they score with their roll men? Because teams really don't want Cat to catch on the roll, and they really don't want him to pop open for 3.
Hmm.
So they guard him. And that means that you're operating in a lot of like 4-on-3, 3-on-2 situations with Jalen Brunson as the ball handler. That calculus changes though if Cat is out. Then Scottie Barnes probably gets to be a roamer. And
Yeah.
you're going to be able to roam off of maybe even 2 players in that lineup. That's where it changes and where you can start sending these big digs at Jalen Brunson. That's the best soap. If Cat is there, sure, it opens up stuff for the Raptors to attack on the other end, but I think the Raptors, their best chance of winning is if Cat isn't playing. I don't know if he will. Calf tightness is like that's a
Mm.
boogeyman nowadays.
Yeah.
I it's
It's ter-
scary business. It's
It's
scary
terrifying.
business.
And another big key of last game, Jakob Poeltl didn't play. They got absolutely destroyed on the glass. Just the Knicks are humongous, even without OG. Guys like Mitch Robinson's one of the best offensive rebounders in the league, and with Biaka being there, even if performance has been so with the back, I think just allows them to be a lot more free and allow them to be able to finish off some of these possessions when they throw out Brunson. So I I would not be shocked if they win this game. I think they have a very good chance.
Okay, let's talk about an offensive wrinkle for the Raptors that has been trending upwards. It was
Hmm.
something you wanted to talk about, so I'll let you
Yep.
take the lead on it. But it's Scottie Barnes' driving game. What have you made of it lately?
Yeah, I think it's been one of the best stretches of his development that we've probably seen for him in his career. I think he's figuring out a lot of how he's able to score against guys who are smaller than him, and then also show finesse around the rim when he can't get all the way when he's facing bigger teams. Like the Portland game is a perfect example. The Boston stretch where they were depending on him. If you think that Scotty with the ball and that's his star trajectory, that 3-4 minute stretch where the offense was dependent on him driving and he created spot ups is what you wanted to see. And he's improving on that significantly. Like last 8 games, he's shooting 58% on those drives. That's 8.5 points a game. And although like his in those possessions, he's looking to score. Like his pass out's only 20%. You're starting to see some of that production, and teams will start to rotate towards him if he can show that he can shoot that at a really high clip. So you're kind of seeing the pieces of what you want to see. RJ being out has given him a lot more of those possessions,
Yep.
and it's just another wrinkle within the offense and his development when it's playoff time that you want to see.
It's been fun, man.
It
I
has been.
like now Scotty is not a bursty player.
Mhm.
He can cover ground after he's loaded up, but he does not blow by players. He doesn't get to the rim fast. So what does that mean? There has to be a ton of strength and guile
Yep.
involved in how he does it. And just to because of that lack of burstiness and the fact that Scotty hasn't played on teams that have a bevy of shooting, i.e., the spacing is never that friendly for him. Like
Mhm.
coming into just on the whole this season, he's bottom third in forcing help on drives. He's bottom third in touching the paint on drives. He's 13th percentile in blow-bys. And he's 37th percentile in points per possession, and that includes passes he makes on drives. So as a driver on the whole this season, he's struggled immensely.
Yep.
And the
Yep.
team is not set up for him to drive the hell out of the basketball. And the last 8 games, as you said, 8.5 points per game, the people want to know that's 27th in the NBA over that stretch. Prior to this 8 game stretch, he was driving like 40% less. He was scoring 3.5 points, which was 115th in the league, going from 115th in point driving volume to 27th. It's a big change, and he got more efficient. I think he's been, as you said, really clever in how he's used his skill set and found ways to succeed in spite of like some limitations. And
Mhm.
doing so with more attention, teams are loading up harder and just taking like, hey, less people are driving. I need to do more of it. These are the things when players are out, and Brandon Ingram said the same thing. Like, this is the league. Guys miss games. So much of the conversation around the NBA is like, yeah, guys miss games. We're missing so many games. Well, when they do, you need to take the opportunities and the possessions that come with it and build on something. And Scotty, if this jump in driving, maybe not the full volume, but like the
Mhm.
efficiency sticks around, boy, you're cooking with something. And if anybody wants to know, like a frame of reference for 20% pass outs on drives is really low. Like Kyrie Irving is a guy who sits between like 27-30% a lot of years. And he is a guard who does not pass out often. And then there's some guys who pass out like 50+% of the time, like Davion Mitchell, who's like trying to table set all the time. And Scotty is just like head down,
Yep.
resourceful, scoring. It's been a bad offensive stretch. That's been my favorite thing to watch, I think.
Yeah, like his process, he's again like eating space up and utilizing his strength. And the mid-range shot, which felt like his like major crux, is now just like a counter and what he's doing. His finishing around like that short mid-range area is super key because when teams have a larger big, it's going to be harder for him to get all the way into the paint. I think those rotations will come if he proves that he actually can score down there consistently. So super excited to see like his improvement there.
hmm On top of that, the offensive side. So the Knicks, they're ranked 13th, 14th around there defensively. Their defense allows the second most triples per game as far as like frequency, and they're bottom 10 in allowing rim attempts. So you get a lot of shots at the rim typically against the Knicks, and you take a lot of 3 pointers. Teams shoot okay from downtown, but they're shooting very poorly at the rim. My suspicion here, and from watching some of the games, is that the Knicks are a heavy gap help team. They dig down on drives, so guys have to pick up the ball earlier so that it's harder to make shots at the rim because you don't take a dribble as deep. And when you dig down, you create passes to shooters. Now, the Raptors have not been a good shooting team.
Mm.
They've not been strong at all in that respect, and they've been even worse at driving closeouts. So a Knicks team that, while it seems on its face, they allowed a lot of attempts at the rim, they allow a lot of open threes, you think, oh, we should cook. This shot diet and how they defend, I don't think is actually that friendly to the Raptors offense. Is there a hero? Is there a man in a cape sitting over there in the Raptors rotation, or maybe a couple that you think like the shot making could pop off on a game such as this?
Yeah, I think Emmanuel quickly is the easiest answer here. Obviously, the even with the Knicks gap help, he's a willing guy that takes his floater, and both of the Knicks guards aren't the greatest off the ball. If they have the opportunity to run actions through quickly, use guard actions and utilize him to score in that way because Ingram the Ingram Scotty connection hasn't necessarily been there, probably in the way that you necessarily wanted. Plus, you do want to keep OG Anunoby away from gaps as much as possible. So I think utilizing quickly and allowing him to be a part of a lot of actions makes a lot of sense.
I do really wonder how it shakes out because quickly, yes, he's going to be needed to screen. He's going to be needed to initiate, especially if Cat is playing. Then you need quickly to actually run a ton of pick and roll. And you need to
Yep.
see Cat stepping up and you need to see what
Hmm.
that looks like. Even Mitchell Robinson, honestly. So, regardless, quickly, it's the off ball stuff, yes, but also looking to a guy who has struggled to find the right balance of scoring and passing to others as a point guard. You look at this guy and say, "Can you find the right balance on a game tonight? Can you send us to Vegas and like find that like 25 and
Hmm.
8 game or
Yep.
something like that?" And the Raptors, a team that has started to labor in how they get up court and how long it takes them to get to first action, and the fact that they're taking shots deeper in the clock and they're not getting as many looks, whether it's, because a look is not necessarily just a shot. It's like how many guys touch the ball in a possession? How many guys got an opportunity to drive and relocate and be part of the offensive energy? The Raptors have gotten really slow at that. Can quickly, instead of relying on we're gonna run down, wait for Brandon Ingram to get below the free throw line, wait for two guys to set a screen so he can come off, and then there's 11 seconds on the shot clock by the time he catches, can quickly initiate offense. And can he get the Raptors into flow? And can the Raptors work from advantage more often and shoot earlier in the clock more often? That is something I'm really waiting to see because, again, Deuce McBride is not available. That is their best guard defender.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson gets hunted when it matters because he's not a good guard defender and he gets tired as hell being a superhero on offense. There's room here against the team that traded him quickly. There could be a lot of goodwill in this fan base if he has his do your big one. I but they still need more, you know?
No,
AJ Lawson, Grady Dick, Jacoby Walter. Is there anybody you look over there? Because Jameson still has a sprained ankle. He'd be the guy you think like could make shots in a pinch. When you look over, I mean, Oche just had a 407 game. I don't know. Do you
yeah.
see anything? Are you
I,
hopeful over there?
I think the hope is that Jacoby hits his shot so he can stay on the court. Because if he's on the court, he gives Brunson he'll get Brunson the most trouble out of any of those guards in terms of dealing with his physicality. So if we've seen it already in this stretch. He's played tremendous in the starting lineup. When he's hitting shots, he's a big positive, and he will allow them to play more aggressive defensively, and that's how they want to play. So they're going to need a good game from him also.
Yeah, it's Grady's in a slump. I mean,
Yeah.
Jacoby, I thought he was so good against the Lakers. He had 17 points on 10 shots. He goes 3 of 6 from downtown. But there's this 5 game stretch where Jacoby is 3 of 7, 1 of 5, 6 of
Yep.
10, 0 of 7, 0 of 2. And on the season, he's shooting like 40%, like almost on the dot. His 2 point percentage is below 39%. The 3 point percentage, well, hey, at 39%, that's not so bad. I just like, or his 2 point percentage is 43%. Sorry. It's just if the Knicks really are funneling to like, hey, they're gonna shoot, we're not gonna run you off the line, then it is probably a good opportunity for Jacoby. Because 3 point shooter's
Mhm.
not been bad. It's when you ask Jacoby to take dribbles towards the rim and extend advantages. And if the Knicks aren't gonna do that, the utility of guarding Jalen Brunson, the utility of if Brunson is off guarding, you could even put him on Bridges and probably have
Yeah.
like a pretty friendly time. And if he gets spot up looks and doesn't have to drive a closeout, this could be a really big game for Jacoby where he might be able to affect something. Now, Grady has been so passive offensively. He doesn't touch the ball. He's not been, aggressive when he does. This would be a good game for a good aggressive Grady, but I don't know if the opportunity is going to be there. And Ochan
Yeah.
just played a good game. Darko was clearly sending a message to his young guys, CMB, Grady, Jacoby, who all got benched versus the Celtics. Elijah Martin is in there ahead of you, man. And this is an important game. and Bob's your uncle, Becky's your aunt. There's room on this team for improved performers. They just have not been getting it. This would be a good game to get it.
Yeah, that's a good part of the season and trying to be good. Like we've seen stretches where each of these guys have kind of been in favor within the rotation, and it's been an up and down battle across the board. Like AJ Lawson was tremendous in his minutes, and he plays that aggressive style of defense that you want. He has length, he can fill gaps as well. So I and he's a willing shooter, honestly. So I have no problem with any of these guys like being out of the rotation if they aren't playing well. That's why you built the team the way it is.
You and I talked about that. We are just like, listen, you and I like guys. We try and project into the future. Derek Queen playing pretty well, by the way. You what did you say? The science was given out for
For
free? Was
free,
that
free of charge.
free of charge? The science given. We like guys. We try and project, but I tell you what, I coach, play the guys who are playing well.
Yep.
Listen, if like Grady, he got benched. Why? AJ Lawson's playing better than you. It's that
Mhm.
simple, man. There is politics, the structure of decision making, of course, but the Raptors want to win games. So let's see decision making based around that. And just that's what Darko did. I wonder if it sticks in a cup game. I wonder what it looks like. But I was happy to see the shakeup because the Raptors just they weren't getting what they needed. They've been a team that's been getting slower and not
Mhm.
just being able to slow teams down defensively, but getting really slow offensively, even more so than they were. They were a team that was starting to really become kind of like heliocentric towards Brandon Ingram. And is it tough for guys like Jacoby and Grady knowing, like having no idea where their shots are going to come from because the Raptors don't produce like these dependable breakdowns? Yeah, but you still
Mhm.
got to be better.
Yep.
And Jacoby's defense, I think, has been awesome this year. So he at least has that. And while Grady's defense is better than it has been before, it's not even close to where Jacoby's is. So we'll see. Could be a big Ochai game. Could be a big game from a bunch of different guys. The Raptors are in flux, man.
No, but it's still good. It's good to see today's game will be a game where they're actively trying to win. It's a big game for everyone involved. So how they approach this and how they approach the rotation, I think is going to also be a good sign of how they view the roster.
Uh, okay. Raptors win, yes or no?
I'm gonna say yes. I think it's a Scottie Barnes national game breakout
Wow.
performance.
Wow. I hope to see it, man. I'm at that game and I'm trying to enjoy myself there watching good basketball. That would CMB played great against the Knicks last time. I wonder how he fits in. Jakob has been so Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and
Yeah,
it looks like it's completely dependent on how he's able to move. Like is the back loose? And whether Cat is there or not, Mitchell Robinson is. And that guy's a
big
beast to deal with.
big boy.
And we didn't get to see it last time. So I'd love to see what Jakob fitting in here looks like. And honestly, quickly getting loose, a big part of that is probably Jakob Pertl, setting screens, greasing the wheels. Anything on the Raptors or this game before we get out of here? A short episode, but a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone that's concerned about losing 3 games in a row, lots of teams have done this. It probably won't be the last time that this happens. I think the team has proven enough through 25 games where you need to give them the benefit of the doubt.
What about 4 games in a row? Then do you panic?
5 games, 5 games, 5 games. I'm like, maybe they need to play a little better.
Well, yeah, what's their next game? Because they don't have a scheduled game after
Oh
the
yeah,
9th until what, the 5th? They don't have a scheduled game in between the 9th and the 18th yet because they're in the NBA Cup format, so they haven't had anything scheduled. And that's the Bucks. And Giannis will probably still be out on the
yep.
18th. If they lose against the Knicks and then the Bucks, a
Yeah. That's
Giannis-less Bucks? Oh,
that's
then
bad news.
listen, your appeal to caution, it won't work on me anymore. Not if they lose to the Bucks. You can't trick me any longer. I'm not under the spell. Um, okay. Hey,
Alright.
listen, hope the Raptors win. We'll be here to talk about it on Thursday. All right,
Yeah.
everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in with Trey and I. We appreciate you very much. Let us know in the comments. Put yourself out there. Do you think the Raptors win or lose? And thanks for tuning in with us. Whether you got into this in the morning or at night, from myself and Trevon, have a blessed day and goodbye.